Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Intuition Activation Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Rachel, a spiritual medium and intuitive coach, and I'm so excited that you're here to join me for this intuitive development journey. Oh my goodness, guys. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. How are you? It is good to be back and recording this podcast again. I've had a lovely little break and some time off, some time to reimagine and reiterate how I'm going to go forward and how best I can serve you guys. And over this last month, while yes, I did take some time to relax and spend time with my family and celebrate the holidays, I also spent a lot of time really thinking about what are the ways that I can best serve you guys and help you move forward in your intuitive development journey. And what are the things that I can do to really help nail the messages that I share on this podcast home and really get you started in taking action on developing and reconnecting with your inherent, beautiful, intuitive abilities. And I'm so excited to share with you some of those things in this podcast and some new offerings that I am finally ready to roll out and share with you. And I just want to thank you guys, those of you who reached out to me over the last couple of weeks sharing podcast episode ideas. I took note of all of them and they are going to be coming out to you in the next few weeks. So thank you for reaching out. And thank you to those of you who reached out to come and be on the podcast. We have set up several interviews with you guys, the listeners, the clients of mine who have actually taken action and listened to the messages that their spirit guides have given them, and so much magic that has ensued since they listened to their guides. And I'm so excited for you guys to hear those episodes when they're ready to come out, because guys, I really do believe this is the way to live your life, is to connect with your guides, to connect with your intuition, and always ask for the next right step. And when you take that next little tiny right baby step, everything else just falls into alignment and falls into place. And there's this beautiful expression that really goes around a lot, and I think the manifestation world, that to get the things that you desire, you only have to do 10% of the work, and the universe will meet you with the other 90%. And, the majority of that work is the inner work, the inner work, the inner work of connecting to your intuition, of getting quiet, of really listening to your intuitive downloads and only asking for the next right step. So, guys, in making your dreams happen as you plan, your goals for 2025, I really want to ground home and bring home this message that the action is really a very tiny portion of how you get to where you want to go. It really has to be the inner work and connecting and getting quiet and asking your guides, because they'll always give you the next right baby step. They always will. And if you just do that one little baby step, you can forget about all of the strategy and all of the noise that you hear on the internet of people telling you this is the way to make it rich and the way to make a business happen, and how to get fit and do all of these things, right? Those are just noise. It's just noise. But when you really get quiet and you really connect to your intuition, you connect with your guides or your higher self, whatever you want to call it, and you just ask for the next right step. What is it that I need to do today? What tiny little baby step is going to help me move the needle forward? You take that one little step forward and then you do it again the next day. Those tiny little baby steps will add up to you reaching your goal, and then miracles happen, right? Then the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, meets you the whole rest of the way and creates an outcome even better than what you imagined for yourself. And so I really want to leave you with this message, or start you off the year with this message of just really, if there's one thing you prioritize this year in 2025, it's getting grounded, getting centered, getting quiet, connecting with your intuition, so that anything that you want to achieve this year happens so much easier, because you always just have to take this next right baby step. And that being said, is sort of the theme of today's episode altogether, which is really how to meditate, get grounded, and actually start to trust your intuitive abilities. And I have a lot to say about this, but before we dive into this episode, I do want to share some new offerings, some things that I have for you guys. So Over this break, I really was thinking really hard about what am I going to do to help you guys really connect to your intuition. And the one thing that I know is the biggest problem for almost everybody is learning to actually trust your intuitive abilities, right? You can do all of the things that I tell you to do, right? To get grounded and call in your guides and speak to them out loud and do automatic writing. But none of that really feels useful if you're not trusting the messages that come through. So many of us get so stuck in our head. We get so stuck in the belief that maybe we made all of this up and we don't know how to trust the messages that do come through. And this is what I always tell all of my students who are in my private coaching clients or my group programs is that the best way to trust your intuitive abilities is to actually receive confirmation that the thing you channeled or downloaded rings true. And how do you receive confirmation? Well, there's two ways to do it. One is if it's a message for yourself, you actually take action on the intuitive download that you received and see if it works out and plays out. Because if it plays out, and it works well for you, then you're going to be inclined to trust yourself again. But the even easier way to learn to trust yourself and receive confirmation is to actually practice channeling on somebody else. Because if you receive a message for somebody else, you get to be an unbiased third party to the issue, to the question at hand. And they can then confirm for you if the messages that you are bringing through actually ring true for them. If the messages that you hear make sense in their life, because we don't know all of the details of somebody else's life. And, ideally, if you channel for a stranger or someone you've just met, and they tell you, like, yeah, there's no way you could have known that about me, then you really start to trust the messages that came through because this is information that you've not been told, right? Usually when we channel for ourselves, we kind of think, well, that's a thought that I would have told myself. But when it's for somebody new that we're just meeting, then we have no choice but to trust that it resonates for them because they're telling us that these details make sense in their life and we couldn't have known that. And so I was really thinking about this concept of how I really want you guys to have people to connect with, to have people that you can practice your intuitive abilities with, have a community of like minded people who are on the same spiritual awakening journey as you are. Because I also know that it can be so lonely sometimes when you're the only one in your inner circle kind of going through the spiritual awakening and everybody else around you thinks you're woo woo and crazy, right? It's so nice to connect with other people who are in the same boat and not telling you that you're crazy, but instead encouraging you and cheering you on. And so that's why I decided to create a private community for you guys. I'm calling it the Intuition Activation Community. We'll make it nice and simple. And it's just going to be a private Facebook group. And in this Facebook group, guys, I'm going to be showing up. Fairly often we're going to be doing Q&As so that as you have questions, as you start to develop your intuitive abilities and you have questions and you're not sure and you need confirmation, I'm going to show up, we're going to hop on Zoom together and I'll be able to confirm for you, is the thing I channeled real, right? And I'm having trouble with this and what about that? And I'm going to be there connecting with you, guiding you along the way. We're going to be sharing resources in there. And most importantly, I want you guys to meet each other. I want you to connect with other like-minded souls who are on the same path as you. And we're going to create pathways and ways for you guys to start to meet up and practice with each other. And I'm going to give you exercises, little small wins that you can practice with each other and choose to meet up over Zoom so that you guys can practice these and get confirmation, real confirmation that the things you are channeling are in fact ringing true for somebody else. And that really is how you start to really take off and trust your abilities. So guys, I don't have totally this whole community fleshed out. I think it's going to grow and morph and change as we grow it together. But I do know that for sure I'm going to be showing up in there and we are going to be meeting live on Zoom fairly often. And we're going to just connect. We're going to meet with each other. I'm going to answer your questions and I'm going to give you resources and opportunities to practice and connect. And guys, I wanted this community to be such a no-brainer for you. I wanted it to be like, yes, this is the thing I need and the thing I'm going to do. And there needs to be no barrier to entry for you. So guys, this community is only going to be $36 a month. Really, it's nothing. Okay. So if you were thinking about really like, I need a community, I need ways to practice my intuitive abilities, and I need people who understand me and who want to practice, who I can practice with, this is the place for you. This is the place where we're going to hang out together and we're going to develop our intuitive abilities together. I'm also thinking that we're going to talk about some books. A lot of people reach out to me and ask me, what books do you read to help help with your intuitive abilities? I'm going to be sharing my take on those books in there. People always ask me, what meditations do I use? I'm going to be sharing some meditation tips in there. We're going to maybe do some meditations together. Guys, it's going to be a whole kind of smorgasbord of things that we're going to do together to help move the needle forward and help you connect with your intuitive abilities. So if this feels like a big full body chills, yes, then please head to the link in the show notes and come and join me in the intuition activation community. I'm so excited to meet you and work with you and connect with you over Zoom and get to see your beautiful faces for real live instead of me talking into the abyss over a microphone. I'm so excited to see you and have you talk back to me. So I really can't wait for you to join me over there. That being said, my Meet Your Spirit Guide signature course is also up and available on a new platform and ready for you to dive into. So this is my signature Intuitive Development 101 course. Okay, it's everything you need to start connecting with your spirit guides all on your own. This course is going to help you figure out which Claire you are and how you best connect with your guides. There is my signature meditations in there and exercises to really help you get started and really to how ways for you to actually get real clear answers from your guides right away. And if you take this course, I guarantee you that within a day or two, you will be receiving messages from your guide. This meditation that's in this course is also an activation. So it's actually going to activate your intuitive abilities and help strengthen them, but also turn them back on, reawaken them, especially if you've shut them down for some reason from a previous life. This is really going to open you up to start receiving those messages in a much clearer way. And guys, I'm so excited about this course. I'm excited for you to get to dive into it and give it a try and start connecting to your guides all on your own. And if you do buy the course before January 15th, you are going to get 1 month free in the intuition activation community. So guys, it's an absolute no-brainer. Grab the course, join the community, come and meet me on this side of the internet, this corner of the internet where we really get each other, where there are a group of people who are just doing this thing that everybody else seems to think is crazy when really it's our birthright. And I'm just so excited for you to really start this year off on the right foot, connecting to your guides and always making the next right step, the most aligned step for you. So I can't wait for you to head to the link in the show notes. If you want to read more or learn more about the course, you can head to my website, jessicarachel.co/guide, GUIDE, and learn more about the course. And remember, if you get the course before January 15th, you're going to get 1 month completely free in the intuition activation community. And guys, you don't want to miss this. It's going to be so much fun in there. I'm so excited to kick it off and get started with you guys. So definitely head over to the link in the show notes for the community, and I will see you over there. And finally, I have one last thing to share with you, which is that a lot of people are reaching out to me and getting frustrated that my calendar gets very booked very quickly, and it gets booked months in advance. And sometimes you just need a session now, or you want to know that you're going to have a session. And so several of my clients have reached out to me and asked if I could create some packages so that you guys could book your sessions ahead of time and get your spot in before the calendar gets booked up. So I have listened, I have created those for you. There is a 3-session package, a 6-session package, and a 12-session package. So if you buy you can literally buy a 12-pack of sessions for a really good rate and book in once a month for the whole year. So you have a meeting with your spirit guides once a month for the rest of the year. So I highly recommend it. And that way you don't have to wait. You know that you're going to have a regular meeting with your spirit guides and me, of course, so that you can really start to, get your goals going, if you will. So definitely go and check that out. You can head over to jessicarachel.co/sessions and see the deals on that. It's definitely a discounted rate if you buy them in bulk. So I highly recommend doing that. And then you don't have to wait in line for my next available session. But of course, I still have my VIP offerings as well, that if something does come up and you need to skip the line, I do have those available as well. So definitely make sure to get your spots in before the calendar books up for 2025. And I can't wait to continue to connect with you guys. And yeah, so before we dive into this episode, I do want to say one last thing, which is that be sure to stick around to the end. One other thing that I really want to start sharing more on this podcast is more practical tips and activities or exercises that you can try to start developing your intuitive abilities. So stick around to the end of this episode, and I'm going to give you a new intuitive development little game or exercise that you can play all on your own to practice strengthening and developing one of your intuitive clairs. So I'm going to share that one with you at the end of this episode. So that's all of the announcements I have to share with you, but definitely check out all of the links in the show notes to connect with me and connect with all of those offerings. So today's episode is really, really about how to meditate and get grounded so that you can actually start to connect with your guides. I had so many people reach out to me over the last couple of weeks and say, can you please do an episode on grounding and how to get grounded? And I feel like this word, getting grounded, is such a buzzword in the spiritual community. And I think that there are a lot of misconceptions about what it means to get grounded and why it is so important to do so. And I kind of want to dispel some of these myths about what it means to get grounded, because some people really feel like in order to get that you have to get grounded as a means of protecting yourself from extra energies that come in when you're channeling. And I want to say that that's not the purpose of getting grounded, right? We protect ourselves simply by asking for protection. And I do really want to encourage you guys that when you are channeling and calling in your guides, that there's nothing to fear here. There's no fear that I'm going to call in this extra energy and my body is going to feel shaky and I'm going to be full of anxiety anytime I connect with spirit. Spirit is loving. Spirit is beautiful. Spirit is within you. You have a soul. And this is not something to fear, but rather something to revere and be excited about and connect with deeper. So I do want to say that getting grounded is not a means of protection. Getting grounded is a means of connection. It is a means of connecting in a clearer way to your spirit guides. And so what do I mean by grounding then? My definition of getting grounded is you doing something to get out of your head, get away from your chattery thoughts, get out of your head and into your body, away from the chattery craziness that is the world around you. Move away from the noise, get quiet, and go within. Okay, that is my definition of getting grounded. And I'm definitely going to share with you some ways that we can do that. Okay, so I want you to really think about what we're trying to do here is to get quiet, right? The quiet where nothing else but this moment, the present moment, and how you feel in this moment exists. It's a way to get to that quiet part of your mind where all of your inner wisdom and connection to source lives. Okay. So, this is really what we're trying to get to in order to channel, in order to connect with our guides, to connect to source, to connect to our angels. All of the things is to get into the present moment and to get away from the chatter. That's what getting grounded is. So, I want you to sort of think of your mind as an ocean. And I want you to think of the ocean as waves that are constantly moving and crashing on the shore. They're loud, they're noisy, they're changing directions. As the weather changes, they change, and they're always in motion and they're always quite loud, and there's always something going on. Now, I want you to think of diving down deep under the water. Now, no matter how crazy the weather is on the surface and how crazy the surf is on the surface, when you dive underwater, even just a few feet, no matter how crazy everything else is, when you dive in underwater, it is always quiet and calm. Now, this is the place that you ideally want to be in when you're trying to channel. And that place, just like diving beneath the surface of an ocean, is always available. That quiet place is always within you. You always have access to that place of quiet within your body. It's always there and it's always waiting for you to join in. It's always waiting for you to have the awareness of, hey, I don't need to sit on the surface getting hit by wave after wave after wave. I can just dive down a little bit deeper. Just go inward, go down a little bit, and the calm is always there waiting for me. Okay. Now, when we talk about getting grounded, this doesn't mean that you stop thinking. Okay. And meditation doesn't mean that you stop thinking. Because the truth is, even when we're meditating, the goal is never to stop thinking, but rather to bring an awareness to your thoughts. Observe the storm and the waves that are happening on the surface and watch them from below, right? Go inward, go underneath the surface and look up. Those waves are still crashing on the shore and you'll see them doing that, but you won't hear them. You'll be underneath and you'll be in the calm. Another metaphor that I really love for this is this idea of sitting outside, sitting in front of a window watching a snowstorm. When you're sitting on the other side of the window, inside by the fire, it's calm, it's cozy and quiet, and you see the snowstorm outside and it can look quite beautiful. But if you were to go outside and you were standing in the snowstorm, you would be quite miserable. You would be feeling the wind whipping against your face and the snow cold on your cheeks, and you would be feeling freezing and miserable and upset. And all you have to do is get on the other side of that window and watch the snowstorm from the inside. So, same thing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I know I have said in the past on this podcast that meditation is not the only way to get grounded. It is not the only way to connect to our intuition. But I would be lying if I said that it was not probably the most ideal way to do so, the fastest and most effective way to connect to your guides. And so that's really what I want to talk to you about today is the types of meditations that I have found to be really, really helpful in order to get grounded, in order to connect with your guides. And so I'm going to share with you the different types of things or elements that I would love for you to see, or I would love to see for you to try including in your meditation practice, or in your intuitive development practice. And there's going to be a lot of bits and pieces here that I have culminated into one complete meditation. But you can take one or two pieces of these elements and use them on separately to connect to your guides. But really they all each piece that I'm going to share with you are all separate ways of meditating. They're all individually different types of meditations. And then I just like to combine them all and use them all as a way of really getting centered, really going inward, really going into that calm away from the storm. And I really want to offer these tips for you so that you can really start to do that because when you do get quiet, you can't really question if this was something you made up. Because if you're moving away from your chattery thoughts, when you're connected to your guides in that moment, then you can't think, oh, that must have just been my thought because I've spent so much time moving away from my chattery thoughts. So they can't just be jumping in here. I've got to be channeling in this moment. It has to be my guide's source, my higher self that I'm connecting to in this quiet space. Okay. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this meditation thing. Okay. So I do want to say that there are a lot of different ways to meditate. Okay. There are visualization meditations and transcendental meditation. There's mantra or Vedic based meditations. And there are things like breath work and walking meditation and movement meditations and a whole bunch of others that are out there. And I often tell people that you have to find the version of meditation that works best for you. And I would say that that's true. But I also want to say that I have sort of tried and tested several of these ways of meditating myself and have used these ways of meditating a lot on other people and have found them to be very helpful for them as well. So again, I'm going to offer you bits and pieces of the way that I like to create a meditation for myself when I'm connecting to guides. And you can choose if you're going to use all of these elements or just some of these elements. But these are the ones I find that in combination really can help you get grounded and connected to your guides so that when you do call them in after doing this, you really feel like you're ready to hear those words and hear those messages. Okay. The other thing that I do want to say is that if you're sitting here going, "Ugh, I'm not a meditator, Jessica, I'm not good at it, I can't do it, it's not my thing," I do want to say that it was never mine either. And I probably would argue even today, meditating is not a thing that I'm great at. Okay. But they call it a meditation practice for a reason. It is not something that you master, it is something that you practice. And when you practice meditating, you train your brain to understand what it feels like to get away from that constant chatty inner dialogue. You train your brain and you develop new neural pathways. And the more that you practice getting quiet, the easier it becomes to drop in and connect with your guides every time you try. So for me, do I have to always do a long-winded, detailed meditation when I want to connect to my guides? Now, after being having done this for about 5 or 6 years, no. Now I know how to recreate that feeling that I have discovered through meditation very quickly. And I can drop in simply with just a few deep breaths and calling in my guides. But I still will use a meditation, especially when I'm with a client or with a student of mine, because I still find it to be the most effective way to get the clearest messages from my guides. So the more that you practice some of these things, and as uncomfortable as it feels in the beginning to try and meditate, I'm going to encourage you and push you to try anyways and try again and start to get comfortable with what it feels like to drop in. Because when you start to remember and memorize the feeling of meditation, you can recreate it instantaneously after a while. And then you can always be in a meditative state or be in a meditative state anytime you choose without needing a long winded meditation. And that's when you start to get really good at connecting with your guides on the spot. Okay. So let's talk about the framework of how I meditate. Okay. The framework of the way I meditate is I actually include, I believe I have to count, I think it's 5 or 6 components. 5 or 6 components. And we're going to share each of those components right now. And again, each of these components is an element that I want you to think of that can be used separately as a meditation in and of itself, or in combination with all of the other ones together to create a really crystal clear practice. So the first way that that I like to use to get grounded, to meditate, is breath work. Okay. Breath work, again, big buzzword. What does it really mean? It means to take a few deep breaths. It means to take some time to focus on your breath. Now, typically when we call it breath work is because there's usually some sort of pattern to it. There's something that you're trying to do so that you have to pay attention to your breath. It's not just breathing and noticing your breath, although that is possible. Typically, it's something where you are forcibly manipulating or maneuvering your breath in some way. So what can this look like? Well, the way that I like to do it very simply. I tell people, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth with a big, long, powerful sigh. Okay. That's one way. And then I will do that for 5 to 6 very long breaths in through my nose, out through my mouth. There are other versions of breath work, though. You can breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, and then breathe out for 7, right? Or breathe out for 4 as well, right? You can breathe in for a shorter period of time and breathe out for a longer period of time. You can breathe in and hold it and then release. Okay. There are a lot of different techniques. Some people can even do, and if you ever take a breathwork class, and I'm no expert, I've only ever taken 1 or 2. Sometimes there's versions of hyperventilating that helps you really drop in. You hyperventilate or make these certain noises. As you breathe, you either only breathe in through your nose or you only breathe in and out through your mouth in certain patterns in order to, again, get out of your head and into your body. Because when you're focusing on your breath, you are focusing on your body, and your and your attention has moved away from the chattery thoughts. When you're counting breaths, you got to focus. You got to pay attention on your breath and the numbers and paying attention. So find a version of breath work that works for you. Like I said, for me, I found I didn't want to make it overcomplicated. So I just take 5 deep breaths in through my nose, filling my belly, and out through my mouth with an open mouth, powerful, very loud, obnoxious exhale. And I do that a couple of times. So that's component number one. Component number two, I like to include some sort of visualization meditation. And what I mean by this is visualizing a place in nature. Now, I do this specifically because I'm a very visual person. I find that if I want to move my attention away from being in the storm, being caught up in the waves, I need something else to focus on. I can move away from my day to day tasks if I have a different movie playing in my head. And so that's exactly what I'll do. I will take a moment to create a new movie in my mind to focus on a place in nature that I really enjoy. Now, there are a couple of ways you can do this. You can come up with a place in nature that you go to every single time you want to meditate. And you can have your signature meditation spot. I have one that I like to use a lot, which is walking along a beautiful beach at night, right? Seeing the moonlight sparkle over the waves. And when you do this meditation, this visualization, I want you to think about including and incorporating all 5 of your senses. What do you see? Right? Do you see the beach? Do you see the moonlight and the stars? Right? Do you see the trees lining the shoreline? Then I want you to move into the other senses, right? Maybe you can smell the fresh, salty air, right? Maybe you can hear the sound of the waves crashing against the shore. And maybe you can hear the wind as it rustles through the trees in the background. What do you feel? Maybe you feel that cool, gentle breeze running through your hair and against your skin. Maybe you feel the sand cool and soft and shifting beneath your bare feet as you walk along, right? What are the senses at play in this beautiful visualization meditation? Really bring it come to life. Choose a safe place. Choose an image that you love. Maybe think of a place where you felt the calmest, the most loved, the most at peace. Maybe there's a vacation you went on where you wish you could revisit. Revisit it in your mind. Go back to that space and really bring it through with all of the senses to focus on and play a new movie in your mind. Now, I do want to add here that this visualization practice has morphed and transformed for me a little bit over time, where at first I always sort of went back to the same, and even when I was working with clients, I would have the same visualization that I would use with every single client. And over time, doing the breath work has almost been enough for me to drop in that the visualization piece became a channeled meditation. So I would suddenly start to see an image in my mind that had to do with what was actually the safe place in nature for the person I was channeling for. And so now, depending on who I'm doing this meditation for, the nature that I'm visualizing and describing is different for every person because I have done the breath work and my body knows, oh, she's doing breath work, time to drop in. And when I start to describe the place in nature, it's usually the place in nature that feels most safe and most peaceful for the person I'm channeling for, which is always so, so beautiful because then I get transported to different places as well. And then, of course, if I'm ever just doing it for myself, I go back to my old usual, the one that makes me feel most at peace, which is walking along that beautiful tropical beach at night. So, it's good for you to have the one sort of placeholder, the bookmark for you, the one that you can use over and over again. But you may notice that over time, as you get good at this, that maybe the images will change because you're starting to channel sooner and sooner, and it gets easier each time. But either way, that's number 2. So first breath work, then some sort of visualization, bringing myself and placing myself in the middle of a beautiful piece of nature. It's really going to allow me to feel calm. Now, step 3 of my meditation, or the meditation that I like to use, is a body scan. Now, again, I want to underline here that each of these elements can be done separately in and of themselves, and just that piece alone counts as a meditation. I like to include them all together, and I do them in this order. Okay, so step 3 for me is I visualize myself in nature, and then I'll do a body scan. Now, what is a body scan? A body scan is bringing your awareness to different parts of your body, usually scanning from the top of your head down to the bottom of your feet, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter. And just noticing the different parts of your body. Again, if the goal of getting grounded is to get out of your head and into your body, then it's important to bring your awareness to your body and pay attention to what's going on for you in your body. Now, I like to do this by using the visualization and physical sensations as a way of focusing on different parts of my body. So, what do I mean by this? Let's go back to the visualization where we're walking along a beach. Then I'll say maybe you come across a beautiful bonfire, right? You'll see the color of the flames, you'll feel the warmth of the fire around you. Then I'll say that warmth from the fire is going to feel as if it's going to pour over the top of your head. And as it runs down over your body, it's going to melt away any negative energy or worries that you may have been holding on to from the week, right? And it will have that effect. But more importantly, is that we're focusing on the different parts of our body. So I will feel this beautiful warmth that will pour over the top of my head. And then I'll feel this warmth run down over my forehead and allow the skin and muscles of my forehead to relax. I'll feel the warmth as it coats my face and my nose. And every time I feel the warmth touch a different part of my body, I tell that muscle to relax, to let go, right? Often we clench so many muscles in our face. And so when I touch the warmth or I envision the warmth pouring over me, right, pouring over my forehead, I feel those muscles relax. I want to give you another example of a body scan. Maybe you can imagine or envision that you're standing underneath a warm, beautiful waterfall. And as the water pours over each part of your body, it tells each of those muscles to relax. So maybe you feel the water run down over your shoulders and it drops them down and tells them to relax. Then you feel the water pour over your chest and over your belly, and it feel and allows them to sort of drop down, relax, be at peace, right? Feel it cover your body like a warm weighted blanket. Okay. And then you just scan your whole body from top to bottom, feeling either that warmth from the fire or that warm water just coat and soothe every muscle in your body, telling it to let go, relax, and be at peace. Okay. And again, a body scan in and of itself is a meditation on its own. This might be enough for you to just drop in. Again, I like to include all of these things together. Okay. So now you've done your breath work, you've done a visualization, you've done a body scan. Now I like to do what I call a grounding visualization. Now, this is where things kind of get a little convoluted here, right? Because I'm telling you that meditation in and of itself is grounding. Why am I adding a grounding visualization to my meditation if meditation has that effect? Well, I like to think that when we do connect to spirit guides and we do connect to higher powers like source and angels and spirit guides, they do bring in a lot of beautiful energy. They bring in so much love and light into our body. And sometimes we can get carried away with all of that energy and the downloads and the insights that come through. Think about one time where you had a brilliant idea, where maybe, excuse me, you were walking out by yourself and like this download, this idea just lit up your whole body. It felt like it lit you up like a circuit board. And you got so excited that you just wanted to take action and you felt like you had to write it all down or you were going to forget it. And it's so exciting. Well, that can sometimes bring you out of a meditative state. That can bring you so excited that you're going to want to move away from meditating and into action. And it makes it sort of hard to allow more messages to come through. So I like to create a grounding visualization to allow you to visualize that even as all of this beautiful, exciting, loving, rich energy is coming to you and through you when you connect to your guides, that you are still tethered to the earth, that you are still connected to the earth, and that that extra energy that comes through you is going to have an outlet or a funnel, if you will, that will go back into the earth. So you don't become a conductor for energy, but rather just a pathway for the energy to keep flowing. So it comes into you, through you, and then back into the ground. So think of yourself as a light lightning rod, for example, right? Where you're not going to get hit by lightning and then fly off. You're going to get hit by the lightning, these beautiful downloads, and then the lightning is going to be directed into the ground. And so you want to create a funnel or a place or a pathway for that extra energy to go after it's gone through you. And so this is why I like to do a grounding visualization. And so how do I do that? Very easily. I like to picture that I place my feet flat on the ground in front of me. So usually in these meditations, I will envision myself barefoot. So maybe I'm barefoot walking in the sand, barefoot walking in the grass, whatever it is, barefoot walking through the forest. So I will see myself. Maybe I sat down in front of that bonfire. Maybe I'm still on the beach. I'm going to bury my feet in the sand in front of me or place them flat against the ground in front of me. And then I'm going to imagine something grounding like tree roots or vines or golden cords coming out from the bottoms of my feet, literally creating an anchor from me into the earth. And I'm going to envision those tree roots or those vines or those cords burrowing deep into the ground and heading all the way down to the very center or the core of the earth. So, like an anchor that you would have on a boat, like I am tethered to the earth. I'm not going to fly off into the excitement that is all of the energy that comes through when we channel. I'm not going to go, astral traveling, if you will. I'm not going to go fly off into the ethers as I call in this extra energy. I'm going to be very strongly rooted and grounded in the earth. So I'm sending this energy all the way down to the very center of the earth. Okay. Now, this brings me to my next part. After I sort of create this grounding visualization, I like to think that this pathway of energy coming down through and into the earth is a two-way street. So I'm going to be calling an extra energy from above, but I'm also going to be bringing energy from below. I want to feel the healing energy and the peace from the earth as another means of bringing me even deeper and more aligned with the loving, deep, beautiful energy that I'm trying to connect with. And so when I send those cords or those tree roots or those vines down into the earth, I like to think of those vines wrapping around something at the core of the earth, something I can actually tether them to. So what am I going to tether them to? I like to think of sometimes it could be a very large crystal or gemstone, right? Maybe it's a very large tree and I wrap them around a tree, a tree stump or a tree trunk. Maybe sometimes I'll see a pool of healing water and I see them dip themselves into that pool of healing water and connect to it very deeply, right? I want to tether those roots to something. I want them to hold on to something. And then I like to visualize that there is healing energy in the center of the earth. So maybe that crystal has a beautiful healing energy, healing property to it, right? Often crystals do. Then I'm going to send energy from that crystal back up through the roots towards my body. And the purpose that I do this is it offers me some healing energy for sure, but it also allows me to vibrate a little higher so that I can connect to those external energies, those spirit guides, those loved ones, those angels who are living at a higher frequency. I want to think of elevating my frequency. Right? It's sometimes not enough just to get grounded and centered. Sometimes it helps to elevate my frequency, to get my cells vibrating at a different level so that the connection to the guides on the other side is a clearer signal. Because if we're starting to sit in a similar frequency, well, the phone line doesn't have to go so far, it doesn't have to reach so far, and the connection is clearer. So I think about bringing this beautiful healing energy up from the earth, and I think of this energy pouring into my body, and I feel it coming in through the bottoms of my feet because that's where the cords were. And I feel it moving into my feet and up my legs and all the way up towards my head. And as I visualize this, I visualize it coating every single cell in my body. And then I like to feel and really lean into the feeling of each cell starting to buzz and hum and vibrate and glow with this extra energy. And I start to feel my energy shift. I start to feel myself humming and buzzing and in complete alignment. I start to feel myself as a lighter individual, as something that is not of a body anymore, but rather a soul. I start to feel myself as the energy being I am, rather than the physical body that encapsulates my soul. And so I really try to think about my soul really coming through and coming to the forefront at this time. I will often visualize my aura now beginning to glow even brighter and radiate further outwards, where I am connecting to the energy being that I am, connecting to my energy self more and vibrating just a little higher. Again, because for me, this helps the connection feel so much clearer. If I can vibrate at my light frequency, then I can connect with those frequencies of light. Okay. So now I'm attuning my body to that energy, right? And that's part four, right? So I've done a grounding visualization, and then I brought healing energy up from the earth and in through my body. Okay. And to me, all of those things combined feels like now I'm in a place where I can call in my guides. Now I feel like I have moved so far away from the chattery thoughts that I may have began with. Not only have I come down and into my quiet and into my center, but I have also elevated my frequency in some way. And by doing this, now I feel like I can call in the guides and get a crystal clear connection. And so that's what I'll do out loud after I envision my aura glowing and the energy coming up through the earth and through me. I'll see the aura glowing, and then I'll call in the guides and I'll ask them to come through. Again, you can choose to call in just your spirit guides. I like to kind of call in the whole team. So I'll say, I'd like to call upon my spirit guides, my loved ones, my ascended masters, my angels and my archangels, and all other beautiful beings of light who walk with me to come and join me in this moment or in this meditation. And then don't forget to ask for protection as well. Again, the protection is really just to help your guides not come in so excited. Again, you don't want to feel like a lightning rod. You don't want to feel like the energy comes in so fast, so strong, so hard that you can't keep up. So it helps to ask Archangel Michael to come through to send a healing circle of protection around you and ask that the guides come through clearly but gently with their energy. So again, it feels more like a conversation rather than a being bombarded with many messages, if you will. Okay. And that's it. And then from there, that's when you start talking to your guides. That's when maybe you start to visualize your guide coming through. You called them in. Maybe you take a moment and you see what your guide looks like today. What does your guide look like today? What aura do they have through? Do you see them floating down from the beautiful night sky and landing on the ground in front of you? Do you feel them maybe placing their hands on your shoulders or on your hands and giving you a hug, right? Feel your guide for a moment, lean into their energy for a moment. And I often encourage, before you start diving into your questions, maybe just ask your guide, what is it that you need me to know? I've been doing this more and more lately. And my guides have been bringing in some very surprising messages, things that are coming my way, things to be aware of, things to be working towards that I never envisioned for myself. So it can be helpful to ask your guides, what do I need to know? And then, of course, if you have questions for your guides, that's when you can ask them out loud. What do I do about this? What about this? Give me my next right step for this, whatever it is. And ask your guides and let it come through. If you don't feel confident in your channeling abilities at this moment, once you've done this beautiful meditation, this would be the moment to do some automatic writing. Write your question down and then just start writing stream of consciousness. Spirit guide, channel through me as I write, and just start writing and see the messages come through from your guide in that way. Let them write you a love letter, if you will. Okay, guys? This is really my practice that I have cultivated over time. And I do want to say that this is the meditation that has worked best for me. I find that it works pretty well for a lot of my students and clients, but I also want you to give it a try. And then you can start to pick and choose what elements feel good for me and which ones don't. Maybe this feels too long for you. Maybe this feels like too much of a process for you. Maybe this feels like it's too much. And then you can pick and choose. Maybe you feel like I just need to do some breath work and a body scan, right? Or maybe I just need to do some breath work and a grounding visualization, and that's enough for me, right? Shorten it, lengthen it, play with it. Okay. I have some coaching clients who felt like the breath was enough and they just did the breath and called in their guides. I had others who wrote a script for themselves, and it was easier for them to create the visualization and write it all down and then just read it out. I have one client who had a prayer that she read, and she would just read this prayer because it encapsulated some of that visualization, but it also encapsulated remembering to call in for protection. And She just did that, and then she felt the guides were there. So you do have to play with it a little bit, but if not, then use this framework. Give it a try. And of course, if you want to experience an example of this meditation, I have created this exact meditation for you in the Meet Your Spirit Guides course. So you can definitely just go in there, grab the course, and listen to the meditation. You can download it and listen to it over and over again anytime you want to connect with your guides. I've done the work for you. All you have to do is connect to it or listen to it and practice and see how easy it is to connect with your guides once you really get grounded, get centered, get away from your thoughts, and really, really connect. So that's all I have to say about getting grounded for you guys this week. But I did promise you one last thing before we go for today, which is that I wanted to start incorporating some really fun, quick win intuitive development games or practices. Now, I do want to add here, guys, that these little quick wins that people see on Instagram or whatever it is, they have not been part of my intuitive development journey or practice. They are not what I used to help help me connect with my guides. As I said before, the best way to trust your intuition and practice your intuition is by getting confirmation from yourself or from someone else, taking action on the downloads you get and or speaking them out loud to somebody else and seeing that they ring true for someone else. However, sometimes it can be fun to get little quick wins. And if this is going to help you build up your trust muscle, then I'm excited for you. I have been practicing. I've been trying to create some of these little exercises myself and practicing them to see if they work. And it's definitely been fun trying to come up with some of these. And so this is one that I tried on myself and I tried on my husband and it seemed to work. So I'm going to give you this little fun little exercise. Okay. So I want you to think of three colors, any three colors. And you can do this with markers. Like you can just grab three different colored markers or crayons. Or what I did was I just took three little pieces of paper and I wrote one color on each piece of paper and folded it up and threw them in a hat. Okay. And then what I want you to do is you're going to throw those three different colors in. So let's say the three colors are blue, red, and yellow. Okay. Crumple them up, throw them in the hat. And then you're going to mix it all up and close your eyes. And you're going to grab one of those pieces of paper. Now, you're not going to open the piece of paper. You're just going to hold it in the palm of your hand, hold your hand or hold it in a fist. And then I want you to do some of the things we just spoke about here. You're going to do a visualization meditation. I'm going to give it to you right now in order to help you see which color it was. So I want you to close your eyes. I want you to take a few deep breaths. And I want you to visualize yourself in a beautiful English garden. See yourself completely surrounded by beautiful, curated bushes and beautiful, colorful flowers all around you. See yourself walking on a beautiful cobblestone path through this garden with these beautiful, well sculpted bushes all along and rare flowers all around you. There's a beautiful blue sky and a brilliant golden sun shining down. And feel the warmth of that sunshine on your skin, feeling a cool, gentle breeze against your cheeks and rustling through your hair, and hearing the sounds of your feet as you walk along the cobblestone path, wandering aimlessly and peacefully through this little garden. And as you continue to walk along through this garden, you see a beautiful little vined archway. You're going to begin to walk underneath this archway. And when you get to the other side, you see this beautiful rainbow plastered across the clear blue sky. Now, this rainbow is a full rainbow. It's a beautiful arch with all of the colors, and each band of that rainbow looks as if it was painted perfectly across the sky. The colors are clear, the colors are vivid, the colors are shining. And as you marvel at this beautiful rainbow plastered across the sky, one of the bands of colors in the rainbow begins to pop out and move forward towards you. It feels a little bit brighter than the other colors. It feels as if it has become a 3D image. That one band of color is moving towards you and popping out and is even brighter and more vivid than the other colors. And this color comes towards you and moves even closer to you until it comes down from the sky and completely surrounds your body. Feel this color as it covers your whole body and becomes your aura. Feel it surrounding your body, feeling your body vibrate and tingle with the essence of this color. Picture this color all around you. Feel your body humming and buzzing in vibration and in tune with this color that has come down from the rainbow. Picture this color. Feel it. Feel as if you could taste it. What color has surrounded you? And now go ahead and open the color that you had written down in your hand and see if you were right. Now, guys, I really want you to give this one a try and let me know how it goes. Did you envision the color that you had written down that you were holding in your hand in that moment? I encourage you to try this exercise a couple of times. Try to get out of your head and into your body. Take some deep breaths, do the exercise, and see if you're able to see the color when you do it. Let me know how it goes. All right, guys. Well, that's everything I have to share with you for today. I am so excited. 2025 is going to be a big year for all of us. I can feel it. So don't forget to head to the link in the show notes. Come and join us in the Intuition Activation private community. It's going to be so fun in there. We're going to be doing more exercises like this together. It's going to be so much fun. And I can't wait to see your beautiful faces in there. And don't forget, if you head over to my website, jessicarachel.co/guide, you can grab your Meet Your Spirit Guide course and you're going to get your first month in the community absolutely free. So I can't wait to start connecting with you. And don't forget to do that before January 15th. And otherwise, I will catch you guys in the next episode. See you next week. Bye, guys.